guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video we're going to be doing week 2 of the Championship Weekly podcast. So this week it's not going to be me presenting, it's going to be my co-host Jack, so go from there.
Yeah guys, hope you're doing well. I'm Jack from the Forest Forum, and today on the Championship podcast we're going to be reacting to all the teams in the Championship, all 24 teams, and all their transfers, all their ins and outs, so we're joined with Brentford, a Brentford fan, Frankie. Introduce yourself, Frankie.
Hello.
So anyway, now going into the first team, that is Aston Villa. Frankie, do you want to talk about them first, their transfers and that?
Well, first they got John Terry, which I think is an alright signing, but I wouldn't really want him at Brentford. I don't really like when clubs sign old players, and I just think he's not. I don't know if he's good enough to play for Championship clubs still, like Aston Villa.
I reckon he's busted, to be honest.
Yeah, and look, when you look at his wages as well, it's mad. And also they've just brought the Robert Snodgrass in. And when you think about Terry's wages, they've also brought in Glenn Whelan, El Mohammadi, and they won't be on little wage. They'll be on a lot of money. And then Snodgrass, as I said, a lot of money. Their chairman's gonna be very poor after he's done with Aston Villa. Toby, what's your thoughts on them?
Chris Samber's going to be on a massive wage as well, isn't he? Because he was at QPR. So he has English experience, but he's just too old like all of the players. They've got John Terry and Samba as a centre-back pair, and obviously we've got other players, but if them two are in a centre-back pair, and they're going to get ripped apart, especially if there's a pacey team. I guess the only positive I've got is that they've got Josh Onuma on a loan, and I've saw him, and he is a fantastic player. He scored a long shot, I'm pretty sure, for them, and I rate him. I'd have took him, to be honest. Have any of you two got any more to touch on Aston Villa's ins?
I think that Aston Villa, with the players they've got, as you know, last season they spent, I think it was about £72 million, and they didn't look like going up like last season. How they played when we played them twice, they didn't look like a team that's going to be challenging for Premier League football, like they should be, because they're a massive club. But like this season, I think they've brought in. I think last season they did better business than this season, I'd say. So again, I don't see them really going up. I think they could have made a few more transfers, especially with the money they've spent. I just don't really see them going far this season as usual.
No, if they bought in the players that they wanted last year as well. I mean, if the players that they brought in last year played to their potential, like the likes of Ross McCormack, they could have been really up there. But the players didn't play for the club; they just wanted the money, which is a shame, but it's what happens. I guess we'll talk about the outs as well. The main ones I can see here is that Jordan Vertu, he played well for them in the Premier League. He's gone to Fiorentina for £7 million. This one I really wanted to touch on. Aaron Tishiloba has gone to MK Dons on a loan. He's a really good player. I just took him on loan. I think he was at Reading before and he had a really good season. Jordan Amavi going to Marseille on loan. Gary Gardner going to Barnes, which is a fantastic signing. There's a lot of players that have gone out that really could have got first team chances, especially Nathan Baker as well. Have you got to say about him, Jack?
Tish Bowler, as you said, he was on loan to Forest last season. We brought him in towards the end of the season, and I could tell that if he was playing around good players, as you know, Forest was shocking last season, and I could tell that he had a lot of potential, and I can definitely see him going back to Aston Villa at the end of the season and being key to their squad. I definitely can. Also, they've sold Leandro Bacuna to Reading. I think that's a very good move because he wasn't really doing much for Reading. Not a player that's going to really break into the first team squad. I know he has a bad attitude as well. Also, they just sold Nathan Baker. I don't get that at all because they've obviously just brought in Christopher Samba and John Terry. But what you've got to realise is John Terry and Samba, they're not young. After the end of the season, they will probably be done. I know that rhymed. But they probably will be done, and I don't get why they sold Baker, really. Frankie, what's your thoughts on Aston Villa's out?
I just think they should have kept some of the players, but Jordan Amavi to Marseille as well, and some of their players that were key for them last season, and they haven't brought in, great replacements for them, so they haven't done that brilliant there.
Yeah, right then. That's enough of Aston Villa. Now moving on to Barnsley. They've brought in a lot of players. Zaki Friars, Isgrove, Cameron McGeehan, ex-Norwich player, Brad Potts. They've brought in a few players, but as you look, they've only brought in League Two players. But what I'm looking at, Blackpool, they're League One, aren't they? But Forest Green Rovers, Accrington Stanley. They've not really brought in any key players that are going to light up the Championship, in my opinion. Obviously, luckily they have Tom Bradshaw, but they're a selling club, as you know. We'll get onto how many players they've sold. They're a selling club. I think the chairman, I think he's resigning. I don't know if he's selling the club, but he could have brought in some players with how many players they've sold, in my opinion.
I reckon that they've downgraded the squad as well, because fair enough they've got in a lot of young players that will be good in 3 or 4 years, but they're not going to be able to stay up, in my opinion, because going on from last year as well, we've got rid of the likes of Horahan, who was a key player for them. We've got rid of Marley, we'll get onto that in a minute. But the Inns, as you said, the League Two players, Brad Potts, I think he's the only one I can see that has genuinely had some Championship or League One experience. Zeki Fries has never really cut it from what I've seen. Cameron McGeehan was unlucky, so he got a big injury for Luton. I think he was out for like 8 months. But honestly, they really did need to upgrade the squad. For Gary Gardner, I think he's come in as the player to replace Horahan. Funnily enough, he's come from Aston Villa. But no, they've definitely downgraded the squad. Have you got to say about Barnsley's and Frankie?
Just the same, really. Their players, none of them really stand out. All quite poor signings, and with their start to the season, I can't really see them staying up.
No.
Yeah, same here. I wouldn't say they're going to go down, but I know when we played them, they didn't look like the best squad. I think they'll survive just. But now moving on to the outs. So their players that they've sold, and this is going to be quite heartbreaking for a lot of Barnsley fans to hear this, because I know a lot of Barnsley fans, and they're very sad about the players that have gone, players that were at the club when they were very young. For example, Mark Roberts, who's gone to Birmingham for an undisclosed fee. Scowen, who's gone to QPR. Marley Watkins, who's gone to Norwich. Williams, who's gone to Rotherham. A lot of players. And I think if they kept Scowen, because I know he's a key player, I know Forest were linked with him as well, and Mark Roberts, I think they'd be fine, you know. 2 players, I know he won't make a team, but they looked like a better squad last season, looked like a better team. You know, you could say that they overachieved, but I just don't see why they've sold all these players and not brought any players in. It's like a couple of seasons ago with Forest, we used to sell all of our best players. Like we sold Mikel Antonio, Oliver Burke, and we'd get nothing back. And I feel sorry for Barnsley. I know what they're going through, really. So what's your thoughts on the outs, Frankie?
Yeah, same with Brentford, obviously, as you've seen. We'll talk about that later, but this week has been very bad for what's happened with the transfer window.
Shocking.
But with little clubs that come up to the Championship, you just have to sell your players to even get, you know, enough money to keep the club going, and that's what our directors of football has said. And it's unfortunate because you can't see yourself going anywhere when you just sell your best players, but that's what we have to do.
Yeah. To be honest, it's pretty much the same from me. Marley Watkins has gone to Norwich and he's not really played, which is quite unlucky for him. Josh Scarwin, I heard that he said in his little interview that he said that he's a little rat, which I found quite funny. But every team needs a rat, basically. We've got John Fleck. Alex Mowat, I don't understand him going on loan to Oxford. He bought him from Leeds to be a first-team player and he's been loaned out. So next up we're Birmingham. Am I alright to talk about them, Jack?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we want to skip this one.
They just bought the Brentford squad, aren't they?
Yeah, so Birmingham, they've basically bought a bunch of Championship players that are going to help them do better. So Craig Gardner coming from West Brom, I didn't know about that one, to be honest. They've got a good centre-back pairing of Mark Roberts and that player by the name of Harley Dean. Not sure if you know him, Frankie, but they've got him on loan. I mean, on a permanent. They've got Jota on the right wing. They've got Maxime Collin at right back.
Does that sound like a familiar bunch of players to you, Frankie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, I reckon that's some of these things. I reckon the signing that has gone under the radar a bit is Carl Jenkins on loan from Arsenal because he's a Premier League player. David Stockdale, he's a good signing. That Czech Endoy, I've heard that is a really good player in the French leagues, but we've saw it a lot of times where players have come from them sort of leagues and never really cut it, especially in the Championship, because the league's a lot, harder than it looks on paper.
Yeah.
So, do any of you two want to speak about Birmingham's ins?
Yeah, I think Jermaine Bogart from Chelsea on loan, he's a good player as well.
Yeah, good. That's a good
and
signing for them as well.
I agree with, when they come in from other, abroad clubs, we've had a few of them, Henrik Dalsgaard, Camo Hello Makoto as well. They just can't cope with the physicality of this league, and people write it off because it's not the Premiership, but they don't realise how hard the league actually is.
Yeah, and if you didn't listen to the podcast last week, I did say, looking at the Birmingham squad, I can't see much threat from it. But then obviously they've brought in players like Isaac Vassell since then. They've brought in Jota, Harley Dean, Colin, and now I look at their squad and I think, can they achieve top 10, maybe top 6? I think that's what Harry Redknapp is trying to achieve with Birmingham. But I can see them being higher, obviously with the signings they've made. Obviously Jota, probably one of the best players in this league. But I don't get why he'd go to Birmingham. No offence, Birmingham fans. I think he'd do well at a Premier League club, in my opinion. I think he's too good for the Championship, would you say? In my opinion, I'd say that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he would cope in the Premier League because it is just that bit quicker in the Premiership. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But he did say that, it's a big club compared to Brentford. It's a massive club. I think he's on triple the wage and obviously a big manager under Harry Redknapp. So
yeah,
it's disappointing, but you can understand why he's done it.
I still don't see Birmingham causing a massive threat. I can see them being a team that other Championship teams will fear, but I don't see them battling for top 6. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Birmingham, Toby?
Yeah, I've noticed that they've got rid of Clayton Donaldson to us, which is a decent outgoing. They've upgraded the squad, but a lot of the players are new to the league as well as having experience. So, Craig Gardner and Mark Roberts, fair enough, but then we've got the likes of Czech Endoy, Jeremy Bogger, not really experienced. I don't really know what to say about Birmingham anymore because you guys have pretty much said everything about them. So I guess I'll let you move on to Bolton, Jack.
So yeah, it's going to Bolton. These don't look like a team that will stay up, in my opinion.
No.
Obviously, they've made a few signings. Sammy Amiobi, I think that's how you pronounce it. Will Buckley, Mark Little, Craig Noon, Wilbraham, Derby, and a few more. I think they've just signed Craig Noon. Yeah, they have. I just said that. Yeah, they signed Craig Noon. Yeah, they're good players, but they've not really they've not really made much change to their back four. Obviously, they've got Mark Beavers, or does he play for Millwall? I'm not sure. But they've got a solid defender. Yeah, sorry. They've got a solid defender. I know that at the back. But I feel like they could have added more to their defence because they look very dodgy at the back against Leeds United on telly. They did look quite fierce. Leeds going forward did look scary towards Bolton, and Bolton couldn't really handle Leeds' strike force really. But I don't see their squad doing much really.
No, same from what you said. The defence, it's terrible. I know that they've got quite a slow defence as well. The likes of Beavers. And it says something when you're signing the likes of Mark Little, who is a League One player, who he came from Bristol City, it don't matter, but he didn't really get played for them other than when they were in League One. I reckon that the signing of I've just saw him. Yeah, Andrew Taylor's a weird one because he's just not a very good player at all. They haven't improved much. They Craig Noon and Adam Armstrong will be good, but they're the only good players I can really see on that list. Have you got to say about the Rins, Frankie?
I think Adam Lafondra's quite a good signing as well. He's proven himself at a good level, but they just haven't. You have to get better quality than that if you come up from League One and want to stay in the Championship, really.
Yeah, definitely. Now moving on to their outs, they have sold Max Clayton to Blackpool for a free as well. Don't really get that. I don't think he'd cut out in the Championship back. I think he could be a good acquisition to any team in the Championship. Really, a team like Bolton, especially. I think he could come on and he could cause some havoc. But obviously, he's decided to play for Blackpool in League One. They've just sold Dean Moxey to Exeter. Connor Wilkinson, Reece Rabara, now I say that, and also Liam Trotter, who he used to play for Forest actually a couple of seasons ago, and he was woeful. He was probably one of the worst midfielders that I've seen at the City ground when he played for us. He was on loan from Bolton. I don't know why we got him. Definitely not a good player, and I can see why he's been released.
Yeah. They've basically just got rid of all of the players that weren't playing for them. The Max Clayton one, I can sort of understand, but as you said, he's got pace and he will be good off of the bench. I suppose when you look at Connor Wilkinson out, Adam Armstrong in, that is a good replacement, but I'd say that they just haven't really upgraded the squad enough. Frankie, have you got to say about their outs?
Well, I can't believe they've let 8 players go, really. I know they might not be good enough for the Championship, but with the players they've brought in, they're not much better, so
Right then,
not very good business for them.
Moving on to Brentford, I'm only going to get one person to speak about them. Frankie, what's your thoughts on their signings, and do you want to tell the viewers what you brought in?
First, right back, which was our first signing of the summer, Henrik Dalsgaard from Zootwagen. Undisclosed. He looked good in pre-season, but in the league he's been very poor. Not strong enough, even though he's about 6 foot, and he just hasn't got used to the pace of English football yet. Then we have Camo Hello Makoto. He's looked at first at Sheffield away poor. He's getting better, so I'm not too worried about him. He's got better every game, so hopefully he can improve even more. Then Neil Mupai from Saint Etienne. He is a good striker, just a natural striker, you can see, and he's already scored 2 or 3 goals. I think it's 3 this season. So he's looking good for us, and he looks better than our other striker, who's Vibe.
And I know you probably won't want to speak about this, but your outs, I know it must be shocking, just seeing probably your best 3 players at your club. Would you say that have just been sold, really?
Yeah, well, Dean and Hotter definitely our best 2 players, and then Colin, our best right back by miles as well. So very annoying to see, but we've got the second lowest budget in the Championship. Compared to other teams in the Championship, we financially are nowhere near them, so we have to make these signings, but I'm very disappointed. But we also brought in another really good player, Ollie Watkins from Exeter. He looks really good, always causing danger, running at people, and teams look scared when they play him. But the out's disappointing to see our best 3 players go on paper, really, but we have to deal with that. We've let Hogan go, who was our best player at the time. We let Andre Gray, who was our best player, James Tarkowski to Burnley, all gone on to bigger clubs. None of them have done that great apart from Andre Gray, who's now at Watford. So we're used to it now, but our best 3 players, the same club in 24 hours, that was the worst of them all, really.
Yeah, okay then. Going on to Bristol City now. So then they've made a few decent signings as well. Nathan Baker from Aston Villa, Famara Dedu from Angers for £5.3 million, a lot of money. Eliasson, who is a decent player, 1.8 million. And so then, Toby, what do you think about Bristol City's signing so far?
I wouldn't say that they've improved the squad. On paper, it looks like they have with the fees that they've paid for a couple of the players like that, Diedu, but as you said in last week's podcast, he hasn't even got a goal yet. The only really good signing I could see, well, there's two of them. Jonathan Lecco, a good youngster from West Brom, obviously. He's got pace. It'll take you a couple of games to get used to the league. And Nathan Baker, because Aston Villa fans, they've said that they're going to miss him because he's probably better than Christopher Samba, just as good as, what's his name, James Chester. And I can see, Bristol City struggling this season because, as I said, they haven't really improved the squad, even though it looks like they've done. That Pisson, I'm pretty sure is a right back. I'm not too sure on how he's done, but I haven't really heard much about him, so I can't say that much. Luke Steele, I know he's a goalkeeper from Panathin, I can't say that team, but he's got no championship experience, so it won't surprise me if they struggle this season.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from in Bristol City. I know a lot of fans are feeling overconfident, you could say, in my opinion. I think that a lot of their fans think that they'll be up there, they'll be doing well. They did have a shocking season last season. They were all Johnson out, weren't they? And now they all of a sudden love him. Obviously, they've brought in a few players, but that Daidu, it's just a bit of a risky move for me. £5.3 million when you could buy a better striker in England who's experienced, who knows the English league, and who's got potential, And I think it's a very risky move, and I don't really get why they brought in Daidu. It's a bit of a weird move for me. And now moving on to the Bristol City out, they've just sold Mott Little to Bolton Wanderers. Lee Tomlin, very strange. I would have definitely kept him if I was the Bristol City manager or the chairman. Very good player. To Cardiff City, he's gone. And then they've just sold Aaron Wilbraham to Bolton Wanderers. Frankie, what's your thoughts on the players they've got rid of?
With Lee Tomlin, I agree he's a good player, but I just think he doesn't get on with anywhere he goes. He's always having arguments, falling out with the club, late to training, doesn't turn up to training. He's a nightmare, so they'll probably be quite happy to get rid of him, and I suppose they might have got quite a lot of money for him.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to Burton Albion now. The players that they have brought in. They've brought in Hope Akpan. He got released by Blackburn, I think. If any of you guys know, leave a comment and tell me that. I'm not sure if he did. Liam Boyce from Ross County. Sheffield United player John Brayford. I'm sure we'll let Toby speak about him if he knows anything about him, which I'm sure he does. Yeah. Jake Buxton from Wigan Athletic. Ex-Derby player, so I don't really want to speak about him, to be honest. William Miller from Tottenham, and then Stephen Warnock from Wigan. I think that's a very good signing. He's experienced. Toby, you can talk about Burton and what you think, because I think that their players don't look good enough for this league. Hope Akpan is a very lazy player of what I've seen of him. What do you think?
Well, Liam Boyce, I know that he's their record signing as a striker, but he's got injured in his first game, I think it was. Very unlucky. Hopefully he can come back and do well. Joe Mason on loan. I'm pretty sure he scored with his second touch for them within like 3 seconds, which is impressive. John Brayford, very, very good player. We brought him for $2 million from Cardiff 2 seasons ago. I think it was the season that they came down, actually. He played the first league match for them. Then they sold him to us $2 million. Since then, he's had a lot of injuries for us, and he never really got going. Because he loves Clough, he went on loan to him last season. Fair enough, really. So he wasn't going to get played under Wilder. And we mutually terminated his contract, and he's gone to Burton on a free, which I'm happy for Burton getting him on free because they have no funds. The record players a striker from Scotland, Ross County, so I don't mind giving them a player. They've got Luke Murphy on loan, championship experience, fantastic player. I don't know much about Will Miller or Connor Ripley, but have you got anything else to say about their ins, Frankie?
Not really. I just don't think that they're much. Can't see him surviving. They done well last season. They just about survived, but I reckon they might. I think Scannell's quite a good player.
Yeah, good signing.
He's got a bit of pace, and he's always dangerous. He's always looked dangerous against Brentford. Good attacking threat, but apart from that, they've brought in a lot of players from lower clubs.
Yeah.
can't see him doing that well really this year.
Yeah, same. I can't see him doing much. Now, quickly going on to their outs. Tom Flanagan. Is he the guy who used to play for Liverpool?
No.
I'm not sure.
Because I know that name. But Tom Flanagan, Jackson Irvine, and a few other, McLaughlin, the goalkeeper, I think, and Messinio. Jackson Irvine, let's just talk about him.
Big loss.
Yeah, I don't get why they sold him. You know, obviously they must have got a nice amount of money for him because he is a very good player. We were linked with him. Good championship player. I think he's from Australia. Tall. I think he's experienced in. I don't know who they signed him from, but I think he's an experienced player in the lower leagues. And yeah, going on to Cardiff. So looking at their players that they've signed, they've brought in Lee Camp, Callum Patterson, Lee Tomlin, Danny Ward from Rotherham, Mendes Lang from Rochdale. Yeah, obviously you guys know that they're sitting first, and they've obviously done something. Neil Warnock's a phenomenal manager in my opinion, and he's brought in some brilliant players. He's got them playing really well. Toby, what's your thoughts on their start of the season, their transfers?
Well, Neil Etheridge is coming on a free from Walsall. He's been their starting goalkeeper. Very good business. Nathaniel Mendes-Lang is an insane signing on a free. I mean, simply because down at Rochdale they were too good. You know, League One. It was too. When I say it's too good for it, like he wasn't able to like cope. I can't really explain it, but in the Championship, he's more suited to it. I'm pretty sure he's got like 3 goals from so far. He's been tearing it up. Callum Patterson, a physical right back, that's a good signing. Danny Ward, I don't get that one, so he don't really fit the Warnock mould in the way that they're like a strong striker, but I suppose if he does well for him, that's fair enough. And then I just want to comment on Craig Bryson. He's a really good striker as well. Not striker, midfielder. And I just took him, so I'll let you talk about Cardiff, because obviously they've brought in Lee Camp, Jack.
Lee Camp, he's a Derby fan but played for Nottingham Forest. He was a very weird keeper. On his day, like a lot of football players and goalkeepers, he was a phenomenal keeper, very good. I think he's only 6'2", and looking at that for goalkeepers, that's quite small in this day and age for goalkeepers, do you think? But yeah, it's a good sign. I don't think he's playing. I don't know who the main goalkeeper is, but I don't think Lee Camp's good enough to be their first team goalkeeper, in my opinion. But moving on to their outs, Tom Adeyemi, and that is a brilliant signing for Ipswich, by the way. He's a very good midfielder. He was at Rotherham last season. Good player. Ricky
Used
Lambert,
to be at Brentford as well.
Yeah, he was, yeah. Ricky Lambert, they've just released him. I think he was just getting old and he was obviously on a lot of wages. Craig Noon to Bolton Wanderers. And Peter Whittingham to Blackburn Rovers. And I find it very strange because I think Whittingham is a very, very good midfielder. He's been at them for like 10 years, I think. Definitely Championship quality. I think he's too good for League One. Hopefully Blackburn can get up, as we did relegate them last season. Yeah, very, very odd letting go of Whittingham. Quickly, what do you think about them, Frankie, about their outs?
Well, they've let go of quite a few decent players, but you've seen their start to the season, and they've brought in decent replacements for them, so they haven't done too bad. And Neil Warnock knows what he's doing, really experienced manager, so they've done okay there.
Yeah, now moving on to Derby County, of course, Forest's rivals, made quite a good few signings, I have to admit that. Tom Huddleston from Hull City, decent signing in my opinion. Mikael Kieftenbeld from Birmingham, obviously used to play with Gary Rowett, so they know each other very well. Tom Lawrence from Leicester City. This guy is a very good player. I think he can play on the wing, he can play up front or centre attack and mid. I'd personally play him at centre attack and mid. Very good signing. I think they got him for about 7 million to that. Looking at football, that's a very good deal. And Andre Wisdom, of course, decent signing. He's strong, he's a physical player. And also Sam Winnell from, I think that's how I say it, Winnell, from Sheffield Wednesday. Used to play at Barnsley. I think he can score goals. So, yeah, what do you guys think about their players?
They've replaced what we've sold. So obviously Will Hughes went to Watford. They've got Tom Huddleston in. they've done some good business for cheap as well. The only pricey player I can really see there will be Tom Lawrence, because Sam Winnall's on a loan, great signing. Curtis Davis, he was decent against us, but he is old now, so he's not going to be as fast as he used to be. But the one problem is they need to mould, because we beat them. Obviously, it's at home and we're good there, but we beat them. They need to really get the tactics sorted out. And they've signed a couple of players since we played them as well. Obviously, Sam Winnall on loan and Keefton Belt. So hopefully they can help them and they'll be up there. So I'll let one of you two talk about the outs.
Frankie, what's your thoughts on obviously them selling Cyrus Christie to Middlesbrough, Kamara, Will Hughes, and of course Thomas Ince?
Tom Ince is a big loss for them. He's been their biggest player for quite a long time now. Also, Will Hughes, very big loss. So they've lost Bryson as well. So they've lost, quite a lot of their decent players. But Davis experience, Huddleston experience, Lawrence, Winnall, Keefton Bell, they've all really good experienced players. So I can see Derby pushing on. I don't think they will get playoffs, but I can see them, being up and around there.
Okay, then moving on to Fulham. They've made a few signings. I haven't got the full list, by the way, so I'm not missing it out. I haven't got the full list. But they've, I don't actually know one of these names. I think I know two of them, Kamara and Fonte. But they brought in Ibrahim Cisse, Diallo, Fonte, Kamara, and Molo. I don't think you guys know much about them, because I don't. Do you guys know anything about these players?
I only know the ones that have played before. Piazza, Norwood and Callas, really. Yeah,
obviously Callas, who they've just signed him on loan from Chelsea. Again, moving on to the outs, Sonny Aluko, £7 million you signed for Reading. That's a good signing from Reading. I know I wouldn't say he's worth 7 million, but he's proven good price. 7 million actually. Yeah, that's a fair offer. Christian, Cole, Grimmer, Scott Malone, who signed for Huddersfield, who's getting Premier League football. Ryan Tustincliffe, Richard Stearman to Sheffield United. What's your thoughts on Fulham's outs?
We've got rid of the players that they needed to, really. Scott Malone's a weird one, to be honest. He was really good from last season, and I'm not sure whether they've actually replaced him looking at the ratings. But Richard Stearman, you said that he's come to us. He's a good championship player. He's played for Wolves, obviously, as well. He's played over 200 games. He was really good for us until he got his injury, but it's going to be a while until he gets back into the side. So we've been playing well. Frankie, what were you going to say? So I rudely interrupted you.
I think Sonny Aluko he's not worth 7 million, but they was trying to buy our player Hotto, who went to Birmingham. So I don't know if they did sell him to try and get money to then buy Hotter, but after I see him, he is a bit of a threat, but I don't think he's worth 7 million really. Corley Woodrow as well. I think he was at Burton on loan last season.
Yeah, he was.
Watching him, he was alright. He played for the England under-21s as well, so I think so. I'm not sure why they've really let him go to Bristol City, so I think he could be a good player in the future, so I thought they might have kept him, but
anyway,
we'll have to see.
Moving on to, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Anyway, moving on to Hull, they brought in Noah Dicko, Jackson Irvine, very good signing so far. Dicko, very good striker, always gets goals, proven. Kingsley made a few decent signings, and obviously they've sold most of their players. Sam Klukas, El Mohammadi, Huddleston, Jakubovic, Maguire, Robertson. Quickly, guys, because my camera's nearly flat. What do you guys think about their outs? Let's talk about the outs, because
the squad's been ripped apart, in my opinion. All of the key players, Curtis Davis and Harry Maguire, good centre-back pairing. Robertson and El Mohammadi, full-backs. They've just had this squad absolutely torn apart. And the signings that they've made aren't really good enough replacements, if you ask me. Jackson Irvine to replace one of the centre-mids, probably Klukas, but they haven't really got enough defenders, in my opinion. If your camera's about to run out, I guess I'll let Frankie move on to it. onto?
So obviously they've just had most of their players gone, but mainly just because they want to be playing Premiership football when most of their players are good enough to be. So I can see why they have. But they've brought in, quite a few decent players. John Terrell, Aina as well. All good players that can do well at the level. So I think Hull do alright, but I can't see them getting straight back up this year.
Anyway, let's go on to Ipswich Town now. They've brought in. I've only got 3 players on my list, guys, that I've seen. That is Tom Adeyemi, Joe Garner, and Martin Waghorn. I'm not sure if they've brought in any other players. Sorry, Ipswich fans, if you're watching. But they might have brought some more players in. Just leave a comment, guys, if they have. I just can't see. Also, they've just sold Ben Yu, who's a very good talent. I played with him on FIFA. FIFA knows everything about these players. And Football Manager looked like a very good young player. Leon Best obviously was on a lot of money. Giles Coke, who I think he was a bit of a talent that didn't really go as far as he should have. Brett Pittman, who's just gone to Portsmouth, is already scoring goals. I think that they had a good start to the season. If they keep going the way they are, they could get top 10. I think that would be a good for Ipswich in my opinion. And then moving on to Leeds United, they brought in Alioski, Saiss, who 2 very good players, Vernon and Lita. Also just brought in Sid Pickey or something like that. Andy Lonergan. What do you think about their recent signings, Frankie?
They've been alright, but not too impressive. I still think they will do alright in this league, but they just need to spend more money because they're not, with the squad they've got, they're not really going to, be pushing for the title or even playoffs.
Yeah, my camera has just gone flat, so yeah, I was listening to what you're saying. And then moving on to Middlesbrough, with Britta Sombalonga as first player, Martin Braithwaite from Toulouse, something like that. Cyrus Christie, Ashley Fletcher, Johnny Howson, Marvin Johnson, Darren Randolph, Ryan Shutton. They have some brilliant signings, you have to admit it. Their squad looks insane. What do you think about their squad this season?
It's Middlesbrough already a strong team, and they've brought in a lot other good replacements, although they haven't really lost much, but the squad they've got, they really should be winning this league.
Yeah, definitely. Now moving on to their outs, Alex Baptiste, Espiona, Fisher, Husband, Gaston Ramirez, Depena, Derun. What's your thoughts on the outs, Toby?
They haven't really sold as many players as I was expecting, because I thought that Ben Gibson were going to go. He's obviously a very good youngster. And they've definitely replaced what they've sold. Jordan Rhodes gone to Wednesday, and they've bought in a Sambalonga. They've got rid of Darun, they've bought in Johnny Howson. So they're definitely, going to be up there, but I don't know about going up as champions or, second. I reckon that they'll go up through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they will get automatic. They've had a slow start, but they will keep going. You've just got to work their way up. Now moving on to Millwall, they haven't really made any well-known signings, but obviously started really well. They've got a good squad. Jake Cooper from Reading, Tom Elliott from Wimbledon, Hunt Blockland, George Saville from Wolves. I think that they will stay up. I didn't say that at the start of the season, but I can definitely see them staying up. In their teeth, just outside the relegation zone. What have you seen of Middlesbrough so far, Frankie?
Millwall, they haven't got really any unbelievable players, but they work as a team. It's intimidating to go there, and they will stay up in my eyes because they're not very individuals. They haven't got unbelievable players, like I said, but the way they work as a team, they're a strong team, intimidating. I can see them I don't think they'll do well, but I can just see them staying up in this league.
I can just see them staying up as well. Right, then moving on to Norwich City. They've brought in Franca, Hanley, Husband, Stipperman, Molly Watkins, and I think they signed a few more. What has gone wrong with Norwich to start the season, do you think, Toby?
It's simply because they've had a big change around. I've heard that they've had 41 players going in or out, whether it's a loan release or whatever. So it's going to take time, but the signing of Grant Hanley is a massive one in my opinion, especially partnering Marcel Frank in that centre back. It's going to be good for Norwich. They've got rid of a lot of deadwood as well, with the likes of Kyle Lafferty, Sebastian Basong, Yusuf Malumbu going out. They've definitely been doing the right things, but as was said in the last podcast, the staff is German, the manager's German. They've brought in a lot of foreign talent. It's going to take time.
Yeah, it will take time. Daniel Farke, I know a lot of Norwich fans do want him out. I don't think it's time for him to go yet, but obviously you can't, in the Championship, you can't give as much time to obviously managers as you think, because it does go quick. Teams do gain points, and you never know, you could end up in the relegation zone. Right then, moving on to Nottingham Forest, the team that I support. We've brought in Andrias Puchalakis from Olympiacos. Come in, looks like a decent player. Obviously got 2 stunning goals against Brentford. What goals they were as well. Jason Cummings from Hibernian Hibs. Not really done much. Obviously got 2 goals against Newcastle. Looks like a player on his day. Barry Mackay from Rangers for 500k. This guy was an absolute bargain. Very good signing. And also we've just signed Daryl Murphy from Newcastle for, I think it was 2 million or 3 million on a 3-year deal, which was quite risky. Also we brought in Liam Bridgecourt from Leeds United on a £1 million deal. He didn't look the best when he played against Leeds, but it was his former club. As I said in my video, he's going to take time to gel with the rest of the squad. He only joined a week before, so you've got to give him time. Also just brought in Tendai Dorikwa from Burnley. On his day, this guy looks like a very good defender. He's had a few hit or miss games when he's had a good game. Then the next week, he's had a shocking performance. And then going on to our players that we've sold. So we've obviously we're going to talk about Forest who they've brought in. Toby, what's your thoughts on the players that we've brought in so far?
I reckon that Warburton's done a fantastic job. Bukalakis, I've never heard of him before, but he scored them 2 good goals. Barry Mackay, insane player. Liam Bridcock, good experience. And Darryl Murphy as well, plenty of goals. You're going to be comfortable, unlike last year.
Yeah, hopefully as well. Then moving on to the players that we've sold. Britta Sombalonga to Middlesbrough for £40 million. Matty Fryer released. George Grant on loan to Notts County. Damien Perquis to Ajaxo. I don't really know who they are. I didn't really see much of Perquis. Not the best defender. Then obviously Danny Panios. The players that we've sold, and also we've sold players like Lika, Stojkovic. When we had Montagnier, he just destroyed our club really with the players he brought in and with Fawaz. So I'm happy that we've got a lot of deadwood out. Right then, moving on to Preston North End, brought in Donnell Fisher from Rotherham. I know Dylan Lee Horton used to sing a lot about him in his vlogs. That's how I know him. Josh Harrott, what a signing as well. I can't believe Josh Harrott took a step down. It shows you how much he loves football and he's not gone for the money. Kevin O'Connor, Declan Rudd and Shawnee Maguire. What do you make of the players they brought in, Frankie?
Well, it's not unbelievable, but I think Declan Rudd's quite a good signing. Josh Harrott's a good signing as well. Donald Fisher, I'm not too sure on that one. I don't know. Obviously, he was at a very poor Rotherham side last season. I'm not sure if he will do better, but it'll be enough to keep them up or even push for the top 10.
Yeah. So now moving on to QPR. Queen's Park Rangers, they brought in Alex Baptiste from Middlesbrough, Josh Scowen from Barnsley, good signing. The Rat, as likes to call himself, as Toby said. Paul Smith from Linfield, never heard of him. David Wheeler from Exeter. They might have brought in a few more. What do you guys think about QPR signings?
Wheeler's a really good signing. He actually used to play for my local club, who are literally 3 minutes down the road.
Really?
So I watched him when I was like really, really young, and he's a good signing. So he should do well from Exeter. He scored a lot of goals there. Him and Ollie Watkins up front done very well last season. Got probably about 35 goals between them. I know Watkins has got about 16. So yeah, I think he'll do well for them. And also Josh Scowen, quite a good signing, championship experience as well.
Yeah, what, Toby, were you going to say something about QPR? What's your thoughts on their signing so far?
I was pretty much going to say what Frankie said earlier.
Yeah, and they've just sold Doherty to Peterborough, Ben Gladwin to Blackburn Rovers, and Cole Henry has been released. Now then, moving on to Reading. These are a decent window. Sonny, I don't know how to say his first name. It's Sonny Aluka, I think. Yeah, Sonny. For 7 million. Leonardo Bacuna, Modu Barrow.
He's terrible, he is.
Yeah, he used to play for Forest. We loaned him once, and he didn't really do much. Pele Clement, David Edwards, and Viton Manon. So yeah, we are talking about Reading. What's your thoughts on their signing so far, Toby? Would you say?
They've got some decent players, but I didn't get the signing of Bodvarsson. Never really cut it for Wolves. Madhu Barrow, whatever team he's been at, he's never been rated. At Leeds last year, he brought in. It seemed good on paper, but he never plays for them, so he was terrible. Aluka's a good signing. Leandro Bacuna's a good signing only if they're playing where he's good at, because he's very versatile, but he's only good in centre mid if it's in a midfield three, I'd say. So I'd say he's probably going to be right back, to be honest, because although he's got good attributes to be a centre mid, he doesn't play there very well from what I've heard.
Yeah, obviously they brought in Manon, I think, from Sunderland, goalkeeper, good player. As they just sold Ali Al Habsi, and they've just sold Dominic Samuel. I think he's gone to Blackburn, and then they're going on to Sheffield United. There's only one person to speak about them, Toby.
Right. Okay. So I think we've got rid of like 11 players, brought in 10, which is pretty good business. We haven't really upgraded the side too much, but we've brought in Clayton Donaldson on deadline day. I thought it's a permanent, not a loan as it says on Sky Sports, but he's going to be a great signing. It's different to what we've already got. He's got pace up front. I've heard a couple of Birmingham fans say that he's not very good, but he never did really get played for them. Richard Stearman, as I said earlier, 200 appearances, more than 200 appearances in the Championship. Solid signing. Ender Stevens coming from League 2 Portsmouth. Although it doesn't look too good, he's a fantastic player. Cameron Carter-Vickers coming in on loan. He's got, we play like Tottenham do, 5 at the back, so he should fit into the system quite nicely and get some experience when he gets game time. Jamal Blackman, he's a good player. We've brought him in on loan and he's getting better every game. Ben Hennigan brought him in on deadline day. Ched Evans, a controversial one. I think Jessica Ennis, when we signed him, I think something about a stand or something, she backed out of doing something, and then they're out. So we haven't really got rid of any players that we really did need. So Mark McNulty to Coventry, it's a shame because we all wanted him to be good, but he never was. Jay O'Shea, we never actually had him on a permanent, I don't know why he's there. Stephen Skugel to St Johnston, another player where we wanted him to do well, but he never really did. So that's pretty much the outs.
Yeah, Sheffield United, when they first got promoted to the Championship from League One, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I did think everyone was overrating them slightly. I did think they were probably going to go down, but now they've come in, as their fans are always getting behind them, got a brilliant fan base. I think it's just unreal. I think you guys can go very far, and I think you guys will be the dark horses this season, like with Cardiff. You obviously probably won't get automatic, probably might not go up, but you're definitely a team that a lot of people should look out for this season. Right, yeah, then, moving on to Sheffield Wednesday, brought in Juice Van Anken, George Boyd. Is that it? I don't know if they've brought in any more signings. Do you guys know?
They've got Jacob Butterfield on loan and some like that, I don't know.
Oh yeah, from Derby. And when you look at that transfer window from Sheffield Wednesday, it's pretty poor to say last season they brought in Jordan Rhodes and the likes of brilliant players like Jordan Rhodes, and Adam Reach and all that. It's quite disappointing, and obviously we're playing them next week, so I'm glad that they've had a bad transfer window. But obviously they've just sold a few players as well. Jose Semedo, Vincent Sasso, Lewis McGugan, Nottingham Bolton bred, Irby Lesson. I don't really know much about these players, but what's your thoughts on the transfer window for Sheffield Wednesday so far, Frankie?
It's pretty poor, but they've already got quite a strong squad, so they didn't have to do much. But one I can't really understand, Sam Winnell. I think they only signed him in January, I think.
Yeah.
And they've already loaned him out to Derby. There was a really good signing for them, and they've now loaned him to another Championship club. They were looking for a promotion. I can't understand that. But the signings they've brought in, George Boyd's a good player, Butterfield's a good player, but apart from that, they had to do better, because I know you won't like me saying this, Toby, but they are a big club, Wednesday. You know that. And they've obviously been in the playoffs now, and they have missed out, and they really wanted, obviously, they have to do it one year, surely. And this year should have been the year, but I still think they'll get maybe playoffs, but with that transfer window, they need to spend big in January, depending on what they're doing, and they haven't done that well. Only one win so far this season.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Right then, moving on to Sunderland. Brought in Aidan McGeady from Everton. Good signing. Definitely
very cheap as well.
Yeah, definitely a player that people will watch out for when he was at Preston. Good player. Callum McManaman, they brought him on deadline day, didn't they? Like they did with Mark Wilson. Both decent signings. Mark Wilson, I think, is a very good defender, especially for the Championship. Maybe not Premier League, but good signing for them. Robin Rutler, goalkeeper. Robin Rutler, probably not going to get played, as Jason Steele's got in before him, which I find very bizarre. Steele is probably one of the worst goalkeepers in this league of what I've seen of him. Sorry if that offends any of you Sunderland fans, but I know lots of Sunderland fans don't like him. Also brought in Lewis Graben. Toby, what's your thoughts on these? Because I think that looking at their squad, to say they've just come down from the Premier League, the big league, with a parachute payment, is pretty poor, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say that it's quite poor, simply because they've bought in good players, but when you look at the actual squad, they've got no, they've got no cover. Lewis Graben and James Vaughan, I think they've started every game as a pairing up front, and I can't really think of another striker that they've got. Aidan McGeady's good value for money. Callum McManaman, former Wednesday player, he's a good player technically, like most of Wednesday's squad. Mark Wilson, he's a good player, but they've definitely downgraded quite a lot from what they had with the likes of Jermaine Defoe, Jordan Pickford, and even Jan Kirchhoff.
Yeah. So then, Frankie, what's your thoughts on the outs as well? As you just said, Jordan Pickford, 30 million. Obviously, you think that they'd invest in their squad a bit, but they haven't. What's your thoughts?
Just they've lost most of their best players and not really brought in much good replacements. They had a poor start. Can't really see them doing that well now.
Yeah, same here. I can definitely see them probably getting top 10 at most. Pretty poor to say they were Premier League last year. Anyway, moving on to Wolves now. This is very exciting to read these names. These names get me excited. That's how good of a squad Wolves have got this season. So there's just signed Ryan Bennett. That's what I've got to start off with. I know, a bit disappointing. That's not the most exciting signing. From Norwich on a free. I'd take him at Forest. I'm sure that you would at Sheffield United, Toby. But I'm not sure if you would, but I would, because we need defenders, and I don't know why we didn't bring in defenders. But obviously not good enough to battle with Bolly, I think, Willy Bolly or something like that. Barry Douglas, Turkish team. Ruben Neves from Porto. This guy's probably one of the best signings of the summer transfer window, really. Roderick from Rio Ave. John Ruddy from Norwich, and a few more players. One of you guys want to speak? What's your thoughts, and do you think that this squad will live up to all the hype?
Yeah,
go on, Toby.
Alright, so they've strengthened big amount. The likes of David Edwards was in their first team last year, and they've had to get rid of him so he wasn't going to get played because of the likes of Ruben Neves. I can see them being serious contenders because I thought they were going to take a while, just like Norwich, to adapt because, a lot of foreign talent coming in, going to take a while to adapt, but they've adapted straight away. The one thing that I would say is that they haven't got a proper striker. They've only got, players that can play off of a striker. So that might end up being a problem when it gets to November time and, you come up against better teams that have gelled more, but... they've made some really good signings, and it won't surprise me if they are in the top 2 this year, surprisingly.
Yeah, definitely. Could definitely see them being up there. Definitely guaranteed a playoff spot. Can't get my words out. Definitely probably guaranteed playoff spot, in my opinion. I think they'll probably definitely get top 6. Now moving on to their outs, the players they've sold. John Daddy Bonvarsen. You were right about Reading. Why did they sign him? He's not proven at Wolves, and I think they got him for about 2 million. That's a lot of money for Bodvarsson. He's not proven. Nuadika, there wasn't much room for him. He was definitely not going to fight over Leo Botani from Ali or some Saudi Arabian team, but he definitely wasn't going to battle. But he would get any championship side other than Wolves and Middlesbrough. Maybe could get into Middlesbrough, but definitely a very good championship striker. Dave Edwards, he's a very club player. I think he was a captain of Wolves. All he cares about is the team, and obviously they need to make a bit of profit. He wasn't going to get in the team. James Henry, Andy Lonergan, Saville, Williamson, Silvio. This is the last team. So, what do you think about their outs, Frankie?
Well, they've lost some good players, but with the players they've brought on, they really don't have to worry about the players they've had out. And all in all, it's been probably their best ever window for them.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching the Championship Weekly podcast, and thank you to Frankie. His link will be in the link in the description. Make sure to put that in. Toby, thank you for coming on. Very good guest. And if you guys want to be on the weekly championship podcast and have a fan channel of yourself and just want to spread your thoughts about your team, other teams, the whole championship, make sure you drop us a message on Twitter, message me on Twitter, the Forest Forum, or message Toby. And so then, Frankie, can you just give all the viewers and tell them what your channel is about, what you do?
Just vlogs at Brentford games. That's it.
Yeah,
and I also go to England as well.
Yeah, you're going to England tomorrow, aren't you? Yeah, and also I'm the co-host of the Championship Weekly podcast, me and Toby, and I'm the Forest Forum. I'm a big Nottingham Forest fan. Travel up and down the country to watch Forest, and I bring you guys with me on the camera. I do match previews, reviews, fan cams, and I'm gonna start doing fan cams and hopefully get my own podcast going on my own channel, or something like that. And pass on to Toby. And guys, thank you for watching. If you did watch, make sure to leave a like and check mine and Frankie's channel out.
Yeah, so thank you for doing the outro. So we'll see you next week for the next podcast. So like, subscribe, enjoy this today, and peace.